Yeah, me and Mason literally said, we haven't done this. We haven't done this in like months, and I was like, we're gonna fuck something up with that camera. Like, make no mistake. It's already at 2 bars. All right, let's get this ball rolling. Welcome back to the most dangerous episode on this podcast channel of F and Movie Podcast. I'm your host today, Dylan Camacho. Not social distancing and no mask, not because we're protesting, because we just wanted to do it again in person. We're probably gonna die. This will kill us. Fine. We're talking about Casino Royale. Today with me, we've got the quarantine man himself, Nathan.
Yes.
We've got the 2 most likely people to break quarantine to go play disc golf, Mason and Bryce.
We've done a lot of it.
Yeah, many a times.
And he's beat me a lot.
I don't agree with any of that. Can we get Nathan, when you edit this later, say we do not approve of the message of saying, go stay quarantined, it's still here. It's still a corona. But fuck it, we're here now, so whatever. We might as well do this damn review. We're talking about Casino Royale, guys. It's that Bond movie from 2006. Has Daniel Craig in it. Nathan, you want to do a recap? Tell everybody. It's a Bond movie, so this should be pretty quick.
Pretty quick. This movie is almost 2.5 hours long. It is about trying to find this guy that is the banker of terrorists and basically takes their money and uses it to just make them more money by basically... Would it be a put or what?
Yeah, he bets it against the stock market, so it's
like
a
he's
put.
betting against the stock market,
and then he sabotages companies to get it so that
it's like insider trading.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It's like if Wall Street Bets on Reddit was also into terrorism to make their money.
Which that has not been proven yet.
Also, if you've never been to that subreddit, it's a fucking ride. Go check it out.
So anyway, he's trying to hunt this guy down. It starts with him finding this bomber and stopping him, getting in trouble, as is James Bond's MO. He gets in trouble with the people in charge and keeps trudging through anyway. Ends up in a big Texas Hold'em high stakes game towards the end of this with our terrorist banker Lashif. He thinks that he's going to basically get him on the ropes and get him desperate to flip for them, because at this point he has lost a lot of money in a previous attempt to sabotage an airline company by blowing up one of their new plane prototypes. And he has he ends up losing $100 million of these terrorists' money.
Not the people you want to owe money to.
Yeah.
Worse than the mob.
So it's this all or nothing poker game where he's like, I kind of have to win this money so I can pay back and get everything sorted out with the terrorists. And then hijinks ensue from there. At that point, it's a Bond movie. Listen, but this isn't your grandpa's Bond. This is Daniel Craig Bond, and we're gonna get into why the fuck we did that. Anyway, we'll just get into I've got a lot of thoughts on the opening stuff, but I want to hear your just general thoughts early on.
Well, my first thought through much of this movie is, why are they all using old cell phones? What year was this set in? It seems like it's meant to be
modern
day of 06. And I'm pretty sure there were smartphones.
I had a
at that point.
BlackBerry.
No, it was
2006.
iPhone wasn't out until late 07, early 08. 06, I remember because that was sophomore year in high school, and I remember my phone, which was nice, was a flip phone, and I was just it was just a fancier flip phone.
Yeah,
so the little
I didn't
bricky
have
ones.
a smartphone till 6 years or so after high school, because I only ever used just a very basic phone.
Sure.
So I guess I don't have a keen understanding of when smartphones actually...
Your timeline of when that landed was a little...
So you also have to remember, if this came out in 06, production probably started in 04. They probably did have Nokias and, those big, bulky little bricks that were this tall but this wide.
Right.
So
they definitely had Nokias, because that was
they paid for this.
That brand was
cell
up
phone
there.
Between that and Aston
several
Martin,
appearances.
those are the 2 sponsors for this movie.
Also Aston Martin.
That was the worst scene in the whole movie.
I was like, at least Mason is going to hate seeing that Aston Martin get torn to pieces.
It's so low to the ground, those cars don't flip just by turning. Anyways.
Really? Because it looked like they do.
He was flying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it just...
I had no qualms with that part because like he went over the blind hill and then she was there.
Yeah.
So he's going like over 100 probably.
120, super sharp turn.
Yeah.
You don't drive less than 100 in an Aston Martin. That's my assumption.
There's just a button.
Yeah.
It's always over 100.
Yeah.
Over 100 stopped.
That villain, I will say, like whenever it first introduced him, it was you automatically hated him. Like
Wait,
just
we're
from the
talking
way
Mads?
he looked. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Lashif,
Yeah,
whatever that
Lashif,
guy,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like Bond movies tend to always have the villain be such an obvious.
Oh,
villain.
yeah.
With a
They're
scar,
not like he's
Right.
got a scar
eye.
and like he just randomly like cries blood and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's nothing sinister.
Yeah.
Like he literally says that to
Yeah.
people like table with
I
him.
kind of love how like tongue-in-cheek this Bond is about itself, though, right? Because this is like the start of like the new generation of this time Bond with Daniel Craig, and this is the first run in it. And this Bond is kind of a guilty pleasure for me. Like it's ones I've seen a handful of Bonds in the past with like the Pierce Brosnan ones, and I think even a couple Sean Connery ones. But seeing the Daniel Craig ones, where they take pretty much every opportunity to kind of just be funny at their own franchise, where oh, would you like a steak and not sure? Do I look like I give a damn? Just like go do the drink. But I want to go to the starting of this movie, right? Not the very first black and white part, even though that's kind of fun.
That part was weird. I thought I had the wrong copy.
Yeah. No, I remember like thinking, I'm like, wait, is there like a version that's all black and white? And I'm like, oh, blood's red. Okay, we're cool.
Yeah, until an intro.
Yeah,
I was like,
I'm like, all right, it's not the Sin City filter. We're good. But I want to talk about the free running segment because this part does.
Oh,
this part's so sweet, and not just for like all of the free running action part in itself, but I think this does an excellent job of introducing not only just a Bond, but just as a character entrance as a whole, right? So early on, you get literally just juxtaposition between free running dudes running around, and you expect Bond to be these technological gentlemen always doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Daniel Craig's just blowing through this place, dude. Literally gets a tractor, knocks over a house.
Yeah.
Guy goes over the little hole. Daniel Craig goes through the wall.
and
Like
then he flies up the crane,
Yeah.
right behind him. Yeah.
they're on the little lift thing. He knocks the lift thing and just flies down to the ground. I'm like, this does so much to explain a character. Like, I love how
It does.
exposition is brought in for this movie. It is one of the things that I think it does best between that and its little Bond's talk with Vesper, Ava Green, in the car.
because like they don't do like they in the last movie where it's like they don't hand it to you. Like, They don't just.
This
give
feels
it to
organic
You.
for them to sit there and do that. Oh, I bet I know more about you. I'm a judge of character, and this is relevant to the plot and story and
Yeah.
everything. And it doesn't feel. I knew you would like this because I was like, they're not force feeding Price. This feels organic, and they're saying, hey, this is your character, but I'm going to do it in a way that makes sense for the plot. Oh, I'm going to do this right back to you, and it shows that Vesper's a little bit of a femme fatale herself. So
Because M, like, she could, like, in the opening moments be like, you're a loose cannon, see?
Yeah.
You do what you want, see? At anybody's expense, but you get the job done, 007. You get the job done.
Right.
And they don't, which is great.
yeah, like, and M still does kind of say that, and she's just like, you're one of these people. You're an ego. You're a wrecking ball. You're doing this. I need you. But anybody can do that. A thug can do that. I need you to be thinking about the
Yeah,
situation.
you're
Take
smarter
yourself
than
out of
that.
it. Yeah, like character exposition in this film is one of the things where I'm like, man, you're punched above your pay grade, Bonds. You're doing a great job just doing this and explaining characters without having to just, well, here's his whole backstory, which I was like, I'll get Price just for this one part, and then I may lose him on the other parts. But back to the action part on the free running part. That part's just sweet. I just want to say how sweet that is.
Yeah.
Nathan, what were your thoughts on that one?
So it's so deliberately set up to just make the guy he's chasing super cool and free running, and he is just like he literally barrels through
A literal wall at one point.
Because he, like, the other guy goes through, does this awesome move, and he just...
Yeah. You even get a moment where he's just like, oh.
like as that's happening, I'm just thinking like in most other movies the bad guy's doing this while the good guy's running away.
Right.
Like he's being just the brutish thug chasing him down.
Yeah. And like physically getting exhausted too. Like you see it in his face whenever he, especially going up that crane, he was like kind of struggling, but he was, sitting there just climbing it and I don't know, never stopped obviously.
I'll go ahead and say my favorite thing about the movie was definitely the pacing of it. I loved it because, like, it goes up and down the whole time. Like, it's not, like, just slightly along the whole time because it's like an action movie.
Yeah.
So you want it to be like that. So, like, it goes through and then, like, you have your ups, you have the action scenes, and then you go back down and you have the action scenes. And That's why, like, one of the reasons I couldn't like Mad Max as much as everybody else here is because
Mad Max, all action.
the whole time, and I just got exhausted with it. Like, I've never watched this again. It's exhausting. This movie, like, it gives you moments to rest, and it makes you appreciate the action pieces more because, like, you're looking for the next one, and they're so fun to watch. I mean, the free running one definitely stands out, in my opinion. But I mean, all the action pieces were great in this movie.
With all those actions, and then you said like it has like the lower points, it kind of lets you breathe and everything. What I liked about those low points too, this is Casino Royale, so it's all poker based. This one hit a little bit better for me because I actually enjoy poker and like I like the whole gambling aspect.
I didn't understand the
batteries on the right.
So the reason is for that whole poker thing. What was that guy who was? There was three of them. There was Eva Green, there was Daniel Craig, and who was the guy? Guy that was like a traitor.
Mathis.
Yeah. He was sitting there doing your whatever it's called.
Explaining to the crowd.
Yeah.
Because
I was
like, I don't know what this is.
I don't know how to play poker.
Exactly.
This. Which, normally I would be like kind of against, but I'm glad that they had something to bridge the gap with that. And this is also pre-06, before like ESPN and everything was hosting World Poker stuff.
Yeah,
my
this was
knowledge,
just when it was getting started.
Right.
But,
and on that note,
anyway, we're back.
where are you at?
I was just talking about how like the whole Casino Royale. I think it really played obviously with the theme. You had the poker scene every few scenes.
Yes.
They always had to meet back there. That's where the villain was always sitting. It played really well. But I will say I've never seen a James Bond movie, so this one having kind of grasped my attention this well with the theme that I like so much, I'm glad I watched this one versus maybe Skyfall or Spectre. I haven't seen any of those.
Yeah.
So.
Can't remember if I've seen Skyfall or Spectre, but it's less interesting.
I've seen one of those two, but I couldn't tell
The
you
new
which
one's
one it was.
Spectre.
Whatever one has Javier Bardem as the like.
He's
okay,
in
so
one?
Skyfall's probably the one.
Yeah, Skyfall's.
I bet that one's lovely.
That one, it's actually not bad, but the beginning kind of lags. But anyway, we're talking about Casino Royale.
Yeah.
So, yeah, honestly, a lot of my biggest critiques on this movie is just the stuff that it's founded on, right? Like, Bond is gonna have so many tropes in its series because this is arguably like one of the tropiest movies when you look back in time. Like, this is the tropey action film of like the 60s onwards. Now it's a whole franchise.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have these ones, and while they're tongue-in-cheek on some, there are other things that I'm like, okay, we could have done without this or something like that. So, and this maybe isn't necessarily a trope, but this is just a part that I'm thinking on. We'll transition to Fat Thick here soon, but there's one part in mind that I come to mind where I'm like, this scene goes on for a little longer than what I prefer, and it's the middleman leading up to the poker game, right? So whenever he's chasing that guy, it's the dude he meets from the beach, then he goes into the museum, and then he kills that guy in the museum, and then he chases the other guy, and they go to the airport, and then they have the whole airport segment.
Yeah.
I don't know, that part felt like it dragged on for a little longer than what I preferred.
But I think it's important for that to play out. Maybe not for that length. Yeah, you could definitely shave that down.
Narratively, it definitely does a great transition to get you from feeling like you worked your grunts up to make it seem like Bond's actually working the case up to the villain.
Well, but it's important to show that Leshev, I don't care if I'm butchering his name, that he is evil, because you could just say, oh, he's just manipulating money for terrorists. Like, he's doing a bad thing, but the other guys are doing way worse things. Like, he is willing to blow up
a whole
at an
plane.
airport.
Yeah.
But he did pull the fire alarm to get the people out. So that could be like a little offsetting there. But like, he's willing to blow up stuff in order to further his gains.
Right. Because they even said early on, they're like, he's like, no, this is why we're betting against this company, because I know I'm going to just blow it up and that's going to stink their stocks. But likely the executives know, because that's just America. They're like, we're going to pull this. It's all money. But yeah, that part kind of dragged on for a little bit. But overall, man, I want to go to the tail end on as well. The tail end of the action. The part where they cut the chair out and they've captured Bond and Eva is in the other way.
The torture scene?
Yeah, the torture scene with that stuff. I get such a good chuckle whenever he's just like, I've got an itch over here. Hits him. He's, no, a little left, to the left.
Yeah.
To the right.
Yeah, to the right, and then hits him on the right, and he's just like, yes. But like, everybody's gonna know you just scratched us. Like,
I mean, you have to think like M16 operatives, like you think would be trained for situations like that.
Like, that is the one thing to be like, I've been waiting so long for this moment.
I don't think it's M16. I think it's
M1.
M96.
I don't care.
So, yeah, I love that this movie's not afraid to have fun. Like that, and that was, I think that's a big thing why this movie stuck out to me in the Bond series, where like I've always kind of just watched them in the background or they've been on TV, and I'm like, this is good enough to hold my attention as a TV movie, but just some of the small little moments like that just really accelerated to make it like really worth it on that one.
As somebody who really likes Tarantino movies, I really like the dialogue in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's two particular instances, like I think it was both with the Eva Green. The first one when they're talking in the train, and she's like at the end, like after she attacks Bond and just like tears him apart, she's like, "How do you like the lamb?" He's like, "Skewered. I sympathize." And then of course the one that everybody remembers at the end, where after like they go through all that stuff. And she's like, "You're more man in your head and your little finger than like anybody I've ever met." And he's like, "That's because you know what I can do with my little finger."
Yeah.
I audibly laughed at that point. I was like, I know nobody talks like that, but I thought it was hilarious.
From start to finish, Bond is just so Bond. Like,
so many one-liners, so many
Yeah.
quirky little, things. As far as like the scenes that I wasn't super a fan of, talking about Eva Green, as soon as he first killed all those people in that hotel room, or right outside of that hotel room, she was just, like shaking and like in fear. She was like sitting in the shower. That part was so dumb to me because like she was sitting there shivering, right? Like, and whatever. He goes, consoles her, then they talk, "Oh, I've never seen anybody dead before, yada yada. Are you cold?" Then he reaches up and turns the hot water on, and then it just pans out. I couldn't stand that
It
part
showed them
because
actually
it was
connecting.
supposed to be like I said, consoling her and like kind
Well,
of
it was
digging
supposed
into
to
that.
have Bond for once actually work to get a woman to like him
Right.
instead of
just
in every
unbuttoning
movie,
the top.
they're
they just
just
throw
like-
themselves at him.
like
right.
it's just a trope of Bond that he's completely irresistible.
Yeah. I mean, they even do that with the first, like, the wife guy or the guy's wife that he bumps into. Like,
Well, even as he's
Yeah.
like pulling into that like
oh, yeah, the two
place-
tennis girls.
Yeah, the two
Yeah,
tennis
the two
girls
tennis
like
girls.
that.
Like as soon as you see that, it's like, yeah, that's some Bond stuff.
Right.
Did you
Yeah.
see Daniel Craig and those blue eyes
To
though?
be fair, Daniel
Oh,
Craig looking like a
swoon.
snack.
Oh,
Coming out of the
man.
beach water?
Yeah,
like,
the beach water.
I'm like, you know what kind of shorts I could never pull off? Those shorts. Like,
I would argue that he's better looking than George Clooney.
I
And
give
George
him that.
Clooney's like
100%,
the big,
George Clooney's like
most
the
gorgeous
gentleman's
man there
gentleman,
is.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
I think the scene
Exactly.
too with him like coming out of the beach was also a play on many of the
The-
previous
the
Bonds
Bond
where
girls.
it's the girl coming out of the beach.
right. They're
Yeah.
like, we got you, ladies. We got here's Daniel
We know
Craig.
what you want.
Yeah. See, and that's so much of what I love about this one. It's just like, it's just so much fun. Even the little stuff that feels intentional, it's just like, this would normally be like a sexy woman coming off the beach. Not today. We got Daniel Craig, though. We're
Yeah.
pushing him out.
Let's debut him.
So, I want to sit on Eva Green for a second, because she kind of takes the whole last, like, 30 minutes of this movie, right? It goes into this whole little plot where it feels like, I'm like, who are these random villains now? And it does, at first I didn't like it, but I like how it ties up in the end. And, yeah, just seeing how it goes from, okay, she's going to the bank, they're on a reunion or on honeymoon, he's just like, cool, I'm quitting, and I'm done, I've got the woman I love, everything's swell. And then it's just like, we've got 20 more minutes in this movie, let's go. And,
So my thing with this is like, and I understand you have to have your twists and turns, through a movie. You can't just be like, that's the bad guy the whole way through. That's him. I've got my eye on him. It's got to be him at the end. To me, it didn't make a whole lot of sense for it to be her, because at that point she is trying to double cross this espionage brilliant mind who she is, understood this whole time to be just this crazy good at his job thing. And for her to like double cross him, I was just like, I guess I didn't see that coming, but why?
But
Like, why did that even
Well,
happen?
it's
you
kind
know?
of they do
triple
tell you the
cross.
whole thing.
Yeah,
like she's
right.
in love with this guy.
That's
who
what that
is,
necklace
like,
is.
kidnapped.
Right.
It's the
and M kind of gives that background scene
knot,
for that.
right? The
Mhm.
knot thing.
Yeah.
So like they do try to establish it, but I do think it is absurd that she would even possibly think that she could pull one over
Yeah,
on
on
him.
him. Of all the people in this
Yeah.
movie, you're
Like
gonna
she
pull one over on
like she probably
him.
knows him pretty well and has seen just how capable he is
Right.
to try and pull that off.
Well, I mean, I kind of feel like that's part of the point, though. I mean, she obviously left her cell phone behind. She's seen what he can do with his little finger and a cell phone. So, I mean, it's at the point where she kind of says, like,
Probably do more with his middle finger than.
yeah, like, this
Cell
is,
phone.
now, is this the right way to go about it? No, I think if she left it there intentionally for him to follow through with it, she should have just been like, so, by the way, there's definitely another big guy here. He's got my hands tied on this situation. He killed, like, my, I guess, boyfriend, husband, what have you. My
Didn't
love.
kill.
Yeah,
Or
but
had in
has-
prison for like
has
months,
kidnapped.
right? Has kidnapped, but we'll likely kill him if I don't do this, and then we'll kill me. But
Yeah, like I think she could definitely have just asked him for
Yeah,
help, and
like,
he probably would have obliged.
If she was gonna leave the breadcrumb trail behind to begin with, why not just talk about it in there? And that's so much for just the twist, turns, and trope of a Bond. Like,
Yeah,
it has to be executed.
But
way.
she did pull one over on him. Like,
Yeah.
he did have no idea that.
Yeah,
Like, he dropped his guard completely with her. Like, he really did love her, and that's what all those scenes before established. Like the crying in the shower, like them, like bickering back and forth. Like, they had like a genuine connection, which led to her actually getting him alive. Like, you remember at the end, where she's like, "Hey, you should have died there, but she kept you alive."
Yeah, she made a deal.
Yeah, and just led to them actually have a genuine connection, and he dropped his guard completely with it. That's why it was so easy for her to pull one over on him, and the only reason that he got her in the end was because he got that call from the agency, the M16 agency, where they said like, "Hey, when are you going to give us the money?" And that's when everything clicked in his head, and that's when the audience clicked too.
Right,
That's when I was
like,
like,
oh,
"Oh,"
no.
because she put in the account number.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what the account number is, so...
I will say that all that twist stuff aside, how it officially ends with both of those characters, I think is done really, really well. I like seeing that she has this guilty conscience part at the end where not only does she feel like she's betrayed it, but it all kind of sucks. And as the elevator goes down, it's sinking. She just lets herself die and drown in this one. And arguably she could have possibly helped to get out. I mean, Daniel Craig finally got the door open.
Well,
so
there was a key.
Yeah, and she literally just locks and takes it out.
She locked herself in there.
Like, she was just like, I deserve this because this is just how I feel about that situation.
Well, she could have just unlocked it and
just get out of the case. I just killed the guy. Like, not maybe the main guy, but you could probably help me out on this. You have it on your phone, Mr. White. I mean, why couldn't you just tell me this? But damn it, Bond movies, so they have to movie. But I love that about her, that she does this self-sacrifice thing, because there's that guilt part there. And I love that Bond stays Bond all the way up until M kind of tells him like why he should just kind of take himself out of it again, because she's like, if you need some time, he's like, why do I need time? The mission's done. And he's like, the bitch is dead, let's move on. And I'm like, God, he's right back to that character again. And I'm like, I love that process. Like, this really felt like a good character arc for Bond from start to finish, because he has that backtrack, and he's like, he probably had to make that deal.
But then at that point, M also like informs him of the whole thing, like she's the reason why he's still alive and everything. So like, and she tries to like pull him out of that a little bit too.
Yeah, and I love that it's the only reason that he gets to that guy at the very end of the movie is because he was probably about to just take that up and all that stuff and toss it out, but then he sits there, takes a moment and says, "Let me take myself out of it. I've got a phone. Let's see, Mr. White. Yeah, that probably pays off in the next 5 minutes."
Yeah.
And then Mr. White, oh, hey, what's going on? Ah! There's all that little part, but yeah, like, that end just pays off really, really well for me.
So before we get to the next segment, which I know is coming soon, there's two things I definitely want to mention before we got to that. One of I really liked how the movie was shot. Like, I didn't think there was like any like stunning like landscape shots, like beautiful shots or anything like that. But I loved
Daniel Craig out of the water wasn't beautiful.
But I really liked how like it felt like a Bond movie. Like, it didn't feel like they were going for like a super contemporary kind of like looking movie, but it still like looked like a Bond movie when you looked at it. And like, when I think of Bond movies, I think of my dad watching them on like Sean Connery do it or something, where it's like how it's really shot like that. And this movie felt the same, but it straddled the line with like how it looked like almost contemporary at the same time. I don't know how to like describe it, but like it just looked different. Like, it looked like a modern Bond movie.
Right.
I feel like they had a ton of pretty good looking scenes. Like, they picked locations that like you didn't the body works or the body art place that they went to, that little middle scene that you were like, he's chasing a middleman kind of thing. That was a completely unnecessary thing. Why did they go there for this meeting? But it was just as like a really nice set piece and location, and it really, to me, it just made the whole James Bond globe trotting thing fit too, because he was like in Miami and he ends up in Venice and
Bahamas. He's going all over the world.
Like, he's just jumping all over the place throughout this movie, and I feel like a lot of the locations were pretty good.
Well, I mean, the locations can be fine, but like when I'm looking for like a good shot, I'm looking for something that's not like, oh, this is really pretty, you should look at this. I'm talking about like a uniquely shot like moment, like the one I think about most recently, it is animated, is The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, when I was talking about it with you all at the end, where like it has that really cool glasses shot with the guy, and it has like in animation, like it had like a double like reflection like in the shot, like in that one shot, and that blew me away. Like, because I could like you can go outside and like take a picture of something pretty, and like that's just not my cup of tea. But anyway, the last thing was I really liked how every person in this every person that Bond fought felt like a person. Because like in most like kind of action movies, like Bourne movies, like they're bowling pins to knock down. Like they're nobody. Like you push them, they fall over, they don't get back up. But like especially in the water scene with the building fall down, like they went at it for a long time. Like just kept punching each other, kept stabbing each other, and just kept going because that's how a person would.
These felt like trained criminals, and these felt like trained Bond, and these all felt like this is all high level stuff, and never felt like Bond was ever too incredibly powerful to not deal with the situation. Like
100%.
The guy with the machete outside of that hotel.
The guy with the machete, like that guy, I feel like should have won. Like anytime somebody's got such a just massive sharp sword and you have nothing.
Yeah, and it's close quarters.
How did you not like even accidentally get stabbed?
Right.
Or
like that's so incredibly dangerous.
Yeah. And they're
he was swinging away.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was swinging. He was
out there.
Yeah, man, it was wild. Like the action. It's funny. Like I've seen better action in like the intimate actions. You know, your one-on-one fights and stuff like that. I think it's been done a lot better since then. But this does enough. Right. Yeah. But this one still does enough to make you feel like, kind of what Price said, like everybody all feels like it's a fair fight. Even whenever he's fighting the guy in the truck and going on that whole thing, like this is just some like
that went
random dude. But that one went on. It went on for too long. But I mean, that just goes to show like this is a stamina battle. He's been, to be fair, he'd just been chasing that one guy, fought with him, stabbed him in there. He's like, fuck, I gotta go to Miami now, Miami Airport now. And he's sitting there going through all this, and then he finally gets to the guy, and then he's on the truck. Like,
do you think he sleeps?
No.
without having had sex right before?
Oh, there's no way.
It can't be. Yeah.
No way.
But anyway, I think we've talked a lot about it. Let's get into the shape of this movie. Fat, thick, perfectly fit.
Nice.
You know it at this point, guys. They don't want me to say it anymore. That's
Nope.
oppression.
And he keeps saying that over and over.
Nathan, go ahead.
This movie's fat. And it's really long, and it feels it. It's great in a lot of ways. A lot of the scenes are really good. I do think many of them linger for too long, and like I get the whole thing where they had the boat and then like traveling the world and this whole that whole thing, that whole slowdown, like 2/3 into the movie. Like I was just like, come on. Like, I know what you're doing. Just get me through this so that she can be the bad guy or whatever's about to happen, because I know this movie's got another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I see the runtime.
Yeah.
If I were, like, maybe if I were in the theater or something, this would have played out differently. But the fact that I knew how much more was left in this movie, and I was having to sit through just this whole, like, isn't it lovely how things have turned out for this MI6 agent who just decided to quit, because you can just do that. I'm sure there's no repercussions for that,
retire.
and also retire with, what was it, like 50? It was like
100
and something.
150 million.
Enough to blow
million
if you have another 70 years to live.
Right.
Yeah.
But this ain't bombed. He ain't gonna live there.
I'm going to agree 100%.
He's gonna say
with
so
Nathan.
fat.
It's not so fat. I do think it is
Oh.
fat, but that's the thing. Like this movie, it does have a long run time, and I can't sit here and say, oh, this part needs to be cut because of that, and this and that because of that. I didn't like that middleman, like with the whole plane thing, which I understand you need it for the whole, you need that bet to go wrong and that guy to owe money. Like I get that. I think that this movie being 2 hours and 20 whatever minutes, it is a little bit lengthy. I wasn't really feeling it, like we do with some other movies. But like the last 20 minutes, for instance, I would have been fine with it just being, what's his name, as the bad guy,
Lachef.
Yeah, with her, why couldn't she have just been a good person?
Why can't you just not? Just like all the bad police officers out there, just not.
Yeah, or like she could just like break his heart just by like leaving him at the end. Like it doesn't have to have this huge scheme. I don't know. It's just like this movie was really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. But I'm glad you brought up those points because I agree. It's a little bit lengthy.
Well, all right, sounds good. Because so the middle of the table, we know where they're going to land, and I'm one of them. And I'm saying fit. Honestly, I started watching this 11 o'clock at night, so I finished at 1:30 in the morning. That's pretty late, and I didn't feel the length of it at all. I enjoyed genuinely everything about the movie. The middleman seems to be the biggest contention here. It's the middleman and the chase scene with the airport and stuff. Middleman, I think, is important because it shows like how easily Bond can get women. Like, I've never seen a Bond movie. It shows how easy he can get women and the body trail he leaves behind, because that's an important thing they emphasize about going back to the house and saw that she was dead and tortured because they didn't know how he got that information. And the airplane scene, that was just fun. I mean, I just enjoyed the action. I enjoyed him going back and forth with that guy, just punching, chasing, flipping,
keychaining.
Yeah.
Which that did have me until the end,
Yeah.
because like it showed it clipped to something. I was like, is it actually still on there? And then it was on him, and then he just blew away to Kingdom Come, and I thought that was hilarious.
Daniel Craig's little smirk on that one too.
Yeah.
He's so proud of his work.
As he's being arrested.
Right.
As
Yeah.
he's being arrested, and he never tries to explain himself in that situation. He's
Sure
like,
doesn't.
I'm an M16 agent, and I can
agent.
like do this. It's
Well,
okay, but
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, you go ahead, sir.
This movie is really close to being fit, but it's a little chubby, and it's that part.
Oh.
Listen, I like it for the narrative purposes, but I think they drag out the action for too long on that part. I think in that part, it's not the full scene. It's just the part from in Miami onward, like in the Miami airport to the end of the airport scene. It's easily about a 15 to 20 minute segment, and I think it could have been 10.
I mean, did he have to fall off of the vehicle that many times?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, those things are made of banana peels,
Sure,
alright.
I saw him without a shirt quite a few times. I never saw any bruises.
Yeah, he was pretty messed up towards the tail
Yeah,
end,
towards
but
the
yeah.
tail end, yeah.
Right,
Personally,
right.
I don't think his shirt was off enough.
Yeah, needed more Daniel Craig without the shirt. But yeah, there's 10 minutes there at least in that part where I'm like, I'd be trimming this scene up a little bit. This could have been done a little quicker. Equally so, at the same time, I would have, like, if I'm editing this, I'd take that part out and I'd put more poker scenes in.
Exactly.
I'm like,
I could argue that
ah.
the poker was too much.
So,
you know?
We didn't even talk about that.
Oh man, yeah, I put so much more poker in this movie.
I loved it.
I love the
I
poker
did
scenes.
too.
They really,
So good.
it felt so tense.
The visuals, which was what I thought you were going to mention, besides the all of the scenes and everything.
You mean Eva Green? That visual?
Yeah, she was an okay visual.
Yeah, she's
But
right on the eyes.
yeah, like the color coordination that they had with like the dense room behind it with the the bright green. I think there was actually some hues of red in that poker room too. Maybe it was really good. But yeah,
Yeah. So like I said, it's runtime overall. I think a little 10 minutes short. But then if I switch those things out and I give it more poker, I'm like, runtime wouldn't bother me at all. Like, yeah, more poker. Let's do it. Like I was for it, man. And it's so funny to say that like poker is so much of the action of this film, but it really is. Like it does have this tension in the back and forth. The like, oh, I'm winning, and then the bad guy wins.
it was quiet tension.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't action tension. It was quiet.
But it was subtle. It's
Yeah.
just good enough to keep the tempo going, so it never feels like the movie's just flatlining. And that, yeah, I really like that in the tempo and pacing of this movie. But without further ado, guys, let's get into the scores. I want to
do it.
know.
Let's do
Let's
it.
start with Nathan. I want to see this mountain go downhill real quick and then rise up.
We'll start
I mean, I don't know. I did enjoy it. It's not like I didn't like the movie. It just, for me, it was a little too long. I'd probably land at like a 7.5 on it.
Wow.
It's a pretty solid
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it pretty well.
I never know how to read Nathan. I never do.
I didn't know if he was going to be between 6 to like 7. 7.5 surprises me, actually.
I'm always just like,
I
I'll
know.
like downplay and then give it a high score.
I'll never
or
forget
like
Tim
I'll
and
play
Eric.
it up and then I'll drop
yeah.
Tim and Eric.
Tim and Eric, like these two were just lampooning me the whole time, and Nathan's like, "Come on, guys, it wasn't that bad." I was like, "All right, I can expect like maybe a 5,
3
or something," and he's
Yeah.
destroyed
Whatever his
it.
score was for it. Nathan's got the best poker face for scores.
He does.
He does. It's great.
This movie, I'm gonna give it an 8. I want to go higher. It's just with this type of movie, it categorizes itself with like the Jason Bourne type movies and the Transporters and the John Wicks and the this and the this and the this, and you can have your favorite series of these things.
No, you can't.
But a lot of the times, like they're all very similar in their in their way that one movie goes on to the next. Having said that, I've never seen any of the other James Bond movies, but I've seen enough of Pierce Brosnan, and I've seen the Sean Connery, the flashy cameras, and the guys flipping off of boats, back in the 50s or 70s
Yeah.
and 80s, yeah. But yeah, if it was a little bit maybe more original, but then it wouldn't be a James Bond movie. So it's fighting a losing battle there. I do give it an 8. I've really enjoyed it, and it was again poker themed, which I just. If it was like Skyfall, which I've heard is not as good, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much anyways. So
That's fair.
Who's going? You or me?
You go ahead. It's fine.
Works for me. So before I say my score, I do have to say, especially since Mason did an 8, is that Nathan and mine's scales are like normal people scales. So like a 5 is just like middle of the road. That's unthinkable to these two. So like a higher score for us like kind of means a little bit more because we'll go lower. Like we use lower scores because they exist. Like there are numbers below 6, guys.
Maybe.
I've used them.
It's hard to believe.
You can watch our review for Foxcatcher.
Hey. All right.
And pathology.
And pathology.
Which I did pick
Which
for Mason.
oddly, both were Price's movies.
I know. Strange.
But anyway, I have to say that because Mason gave this the exact same score I am, well, which is an 8, and an 8 is pretty high for me because like I did thoroughly enjoy this movie, which I think was easily to tell by this discussion. I don't really want to go higher because I think it'll be a long time before I rewatch it. Everything else in the movie wasn't too outstanding, but I've definitely enjoyed my time with it and would definitely recommend to anybody that likes a good action movie. So yeah, definitely an 8.
This is a strange occurrence where, spoiler, I'm going to go with an 8 on this movie. Yeah, I like this Bond, man. I do. Like, Bond's always kind of these guilty pleasure ones that have come through. I've said that in the beginning, but this Bond does a lot to make it modern and takes everything and kind of plays fun at it when it needs to. It's not afraid to be funny and take itself less seriously, but also has just a solid plot. I love how the characters are explained and told in this thing. Visually, they do it in scenes, and then they do it in the dialogue, and it all felt natural and good. And it's one of those movies that start as this tropey franchise movie, but is good. It just does, solid things. Good direction, good writing. All of it was a pleasant, fun ride. Some parts kind of drag a little bit. It stops being at a higher, like 8.5 or higher, just because like the action is good and it's better for the storytelling than for the visual entertainment. Like other than the machete guy leaping from stair to stair, like which is pretty fun. Like the fights were just punch, 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 struggle, 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 punch, 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 struggle, struggle, struggle. Now, like if I wanted more unique, upgraded action, then this is different. Like you go to John Wick and there's a lot more gun fu, so to speak, on that, and that's more my cup of tea for action, visual, not less so for the narrative. Overall, though, this is a great James Bond film. It's one of the ones that just stuck out, and I remember thinking, man, that's a good film, and I really like the poker in it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna throw it out there. Let's go franchise film. I haven't got to pick a out of nowhere movie for that one, so yeah.
Lowest you got was a 7.5 out of
this. It's a solid pick all around, so I'm pretty happy with James Bond Casino Royale. But anyway, that's our end wrap up with that. What's next on the plate, guys? We've got dinner coming. It's lunchtime right now. We're feeling hungry. We want some more meals this month.
Mason is our chef.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
If you're out in the sun a lot, you got to come in for a nice hearty meal.
Right.
And that next hearty meal is Fantastic Mr. Fox. Which is,
he's been wanting to pick this for a while.
Yeah.
Is this the one where I was talking to you like to pick your 10? Remember?
Yeah.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited then. I'm ready for it.
I have very high regards for this movie, and I hope you guys enjoy it because it
will crush
one of my absolute favorite movies. So,
who directed this movie again?
Wes Anderson.
Oh, we're already.
Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, The Royal Tenenbaums,
Isle of Dogs.
That's not that one.
I liked
Isle of Dogs.
You didn't like that movie.
Yes, I did.
You literally told me.
It was like a 5.5 probably.
I wouldn't say that's
for me.
Movie. I wouldn't say you would like that movie even at 5.5.
Yeah, I do. That's
for you,
middle of the road.
That's just middle of the road, a litle bit better. Like,
because the reason behind this pick before we wrap off here is because we were playing disc golf one day, breaking all quarantine rules, and I was like, Mason, I don't think you've never given a 10. I want to see your 10. I want to see what you're gonna bring to the table because you haven't given us your apex because we got Inception, we got Step Brothers. That's the only 10 I've given. What was yours?
I gave a 10 to V for Vendetta.
V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
That's fair. So there have been 3 and only 3 10s given on this podcast. And ready to see what Mason's going to bring to the table.
Here's a spoiler. I bet he goes to 9.5 by the time Siri watches.
Yeah, we'll take it all the way down to an 8.
He's going to watch it, be sitting at a 10. We're going to discuss it. He's going to have to bring it down to a 9.5.
I'm just going to get berated over it.
We should just crush the Kirby shirt next time we're here. Just beat him to that. Like we did Brothers. Let's have a Brothers repeat.
It might be similar. We'll see.
If you want to see Mason lose his shit in the kitchen, make sure to tune in next week while we talk about the Fantastic Mr. Fox or Tobey Maguire. We might just bring it up for no reason.
He's not in it.
Yeah.
So we might be safe.
If you like this content and everything you've been seeing so far, make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like this video in specific, especially the sweet scores on this movie. James Bond was awesome in this one.
He was.
Give this video a thumbs up. We appreciate it. Hit that bell so you know when we're going to be putting out stuff. And by the end of this month, whenever it airs, I don't know, timing is a funny thing. Time doesn't exist in this world
At
anymore.
the end of this little series of 4 movies.
Yeah, we're going to
Yeah.
do a nice little season wrap-up for Season 2. So we just wanted to have that little bundle. We're going to sneak you ahead, but you've got 3 movies to get through before we get there. So make sure to keep tuning in and see how we think about the whole cycle by the time we get there. We'll see you all next week with the fantastic Mr. Fox.
Fantastic.
Bye. Speaking of George Clooney,
Oh yeah, is he the main guy in this?
Mhm.
he is
He's the Fox.
Mr. Fox. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I hear he's fantastic.
Mr. Fox.
Is what the wife calls him.